You know, when we think about ancient history, we often just see stories. But what if we looked at one of the biggest stories ever told as one of history's first great mega projects? Today, we're going to break down the construction of Solomon's temple, but through the lens of modern project management. Let's dive in.
I mean, seriously, think about that. That was the challenge staring King Solomon right in the face. This wasn't just about putting up a building. It was about creating something magnificent, a symbol of divine greatness. This thing needed an incredible vision, a massive budget, international diplomacy, and a workforce the size of a modern city. So how on earth did he pull it off?
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to walk through this epic project step by step. We'll start with the vision, then look at how they got the resources, see how an alliance was forged, break down the actual deal, and finally, look at the insane workforce they mobilized.
Okay, first things first. Every single great project has to start with a powerful why. Before anyone even thought about cutting a stone or felling a tree, Solomon had to define the mission, the core purpose that was going to drive this whole monumental effort.
And boom, here it is, straight from the source. This wasn't just a building, it was a statement. The scope of the project was crystal clear. It had to be large and magnificent to reflect the greatness of his God. That set an absolutely incredible bar for quality and scale right from the get-go.
So, the vision is locked in. What's next? Well, now comes the really practical part. Solomon had to figure out what he needed to pull this off. He took stock of what he had, but more importantly, he was smart enough to know what he didn't have.
And this right here is a classic project management headache, isn't it? Solomon's got the big idea, he's got the manpower, but he's got a major resource gap. He needs top-tier timber that just doesn't grow in his kingdom, and he needs a level of craftsmanship his own people simply don't have. So what does he do? He reaches out. And check this out. This is his formal request to a neighboring king, Hiram of Tyre. Notice how incredibly clear and direct he is. He's not vague. He knows exactly what he wants, a master craftsman and very specific types of lumber. This is just a masterclass in clear communication.
So let's break this down. It's basically an international purchase order. He needs specific raw materials, the best logs you could get from Lebanon, and he needs the human capital, a single rock star consultant who can lead the whole artistic and technical side of things.
Okay, so Solomon sent the message. But, you know, making a request is the easy part. Getting a yes from another king, that's diplomacy. This is where a simple request turns into a strategic partnership. Let's see how Hiram responds.
And wow, Hiram's reply is not just positive, it's glowing. He doesn't just say yes, he actually praises Solomon's wisdom and gets behind the project's divine purpose. This mutual respect is what turns a simple transaction into a powerful alliance between two entire kingdoms.
And talk about delivering on a promise. Hiram sends this guy, Hiram of Tyre. Just look at this skill set. He's a one-man army of artistry and engineering. He can work with pretty much anything, metal, stone, fine fabrics, and he can execute any design you throw at him. He was the perfect expert consultant for a project this complex.
But let's be real, this alliance wasn't all just friendship and goodwill. This was a massive international trade agreement. So now, let's get into the nitty-gritty, the actual contract that paid for this whole operation.
This table lays it all out perfectly. It's a classic, you give me this, I give you that. Solomon provides food and drink to support Hiram's people. And in return, Hiram provides the raw materials, the expert craftsmen, and even the logistical support to get the logs where they need to go. And the sheer scale of Solomon's payment is just staggering.
All right, let's try to wrap our heads around these numbers. And remember, this was paid annually. First up, 20,000 cores of wheat. A single core is about 58 gallons, so yeah, we're talking about an enormous amount of grain.
And that's not all. Add another 20,000 cores of barley to the pile. This was a massive transfer of agricultural wealth, all just to pay for the premium building supplies.
But they weren't just trading grains. The deal also included 20,000 baths of wine. A bath was a liquid measure of about 6 gallons, so again, the sheer volume here is just immense.
And to top it all off, 20,000 baths of pressed olive oil. Can you just imagine the logistics of producing and transporting these four things year after year? This was the real price tag for building the temple.
Okay, so the vision's clear, the materials are on their way, the expert is on the job. But who's going to do all the heavy lifting? This brings us to the final and largest piece of the puzzle, the workforce.
I mean, these numbers are just mind-boggling. Solomon conscripted 70,000 men just to be carriers. Their only job was to move materials. And then, even more, 80,000 men were tasked with cutting stone, quarrying it right out of the hills.
So what's the grand total from the census of foreigners living in the land? A whopping 153,600 people were pressed into this labor force. That's the population of a pretty big modern city, all dedicated to a single construction project.
So how do you even begin to manage a workforce that big? Well, you need managers. Solomon appointed 3,600 foremen to oversee the laborers and, as it says, keep the people working. This shows a clear organizational hierarchy, which is absolutely essential for a project of this scale.
And that really brings us to our final thought, doesn't it? We've seen the project plan, the resources, the contract, the labor. But when you build something that's designed to last forever, what's the real price? Is it measured in the staggering amounts of wheat and wine, or is it measured in the sweat and toil of over 150,000 human beings?